SinoDragon Gaming came roaring to life in Game 1 of their series versus Vici. But can they do it a second time, or will Vici have the strength to readjust, reposition their draft, and hopefully not get absolutely dunked in the mid lane?
Yep. Mid lane. Twyla just smashed Jay. It was insane. It was more so like, even though that matchup was, the Rise was getting rocked, it felt like team play-wise, SDG were always linked with their jungle, knew where to go, bot side, mid, top, pretty consistently. And then the issue was, I didn't feel like there were that was no team play from Vici. Like, that was the most insane aspect of it. Everyone kept to their lane. In fact, Rise was consistently sticking mid with 0 help. And you saw, like, Nocturne, who was taking red buff, while his manaless Rise was just constantly getting his tower chipped at by jungle, Rift Herald, and mid. I was like, what are you doing? So I think Ike's had the worst game I've seen a jungler have right now in 2019. He needs to step up. Even if he has a weak matchup, I think that there's so much more you can do to support your lanes. So for him, he needs to improve. I think that if there's a question going into game 2, like who's going to win, I'm looking at Sino. I'm like, you guys are looking really good right now. You're right about the draft, though. The draft would make it much easier if we see some early game elements from the rest of the map.
Xiaopeng definitely took over the early game there, and he was able to keep the pressure up through a lot of the power of Twyla there in the mid lane, who is our MVP for the last game on that Aatrox. Ridiculous amounts of damage and quite a few solo kills.
Yeah, I mean, Jay was feeling it. Every single time he was like, I'm traveling to my boob, and there's an Aatrox. He's like, I'm going back to protect mid. Oh, no, he's jumping me. So it was rough, dog.
He's going to be checking the closet tonight and being like, Twyla, you in here, man?
I hope he doesn't know. I hope he doesn't realize that Resident Evil 2 is out there, because right now Twyla is playing Mr. X. He was constantly on him, following some every buff. Like, there was no real safe space for the Rise.
Yeah, there's going to be a few nightmares in Jay's future, so hopefully he stays away from the horror games for now, because every monster is just going to be replaced with Twila's face and the 5-0-2 scoreline he had on Aatrox. So that game, though, as you said, wasn't squarely on his shoulders. Yes, Jay stayed a little bit too long, and yeah, he kind of made some, we'll say, suboptimal decisions. But it wasn't just him. A lot of it was in the jungle. A lot of it was how Vici played together, or rather didn't play together.
So immediately just talking about, like, if you're a Nocturne, this is your life for the first 5 minutes, right? You lose double Scuttle Crab. Okay, that's, you know, bottom lane takes it. I'm okay with that. You lose your first blue buff because the Lee Sin just came in and essentially took it away from you. And then he says he's tracking you from this point forward. So you can't even take your Raptors without being contested. Like, that is, you've already lost the level just off that. Like, your level, the disadvantage is going to be there solely in the experience. And in fact, Lee Sin used that experience advantage to say, okay, I'm going to take some time on the map. I'm going to solo out Dragon. So it was disgusting coming into game 1 that Nocturne was not only in a bad matchup, not getting the support. So really, for me, end goal is, if you're going to be playing a composition that has 3 champions, they're going to be playing back, not really going to be looking to push or really look for any trades, then you need to try and have some coordination to each other. You need Southwind looking to go mid a little bit more often, and you need the Nocturne to recognize that sharing experience a little bit in mid lane so your mid laner doesn't get rocked is not a bad thing.
And that lack of coordination was, I think, obviated as well by the fact that for everyone on Vici, it just got worse.
Yeah.
The game never got better. Chalitza, sure, he got the solo kills onto Changhong, and that's great. That's fantastic. That's the one advantage they had. But for everyone else, it was just like, okay, I'm Jay, I'm sitting in the mid lane, I'm 0-2. Oh, I'm 0-3. Oh, I'm dead again.
I'm going to give you the glass half full thing. Because the fact that Chalitza played well, and throughout the last series I felt like he was the weakest aspect of Vici, is a big plus for me. Because now that means that if you go into game 2, and if you just, you fix the draft on specifically how the duo works towards mid and jungle, if that's a little bit stronger for you, you know you're going to have faith in Puff and Southwind to perform. In fact, they've been the ones who've been performing consistently in the last 3 series that they've had. You look towards mid lane and saying, you know, I have faith in Jay. He was our MVP in the NISO tournament. So you coming into this one, you're like, we know that he can play if he has a better 2v2 and support that he can work with. Now you have all 3 lanes that you're really backing with. So I think that going into the next game, you should be happy. Like, that's what I'm talking about, a glass half full situation. Be happy that now you're going into the next game knowing that all your members are ready to play.
For SinoDragon then.
Uh-oh.
if we're gonna ignore the draft, assume that goes better, like you said for Vici. If Vici is just like, all right, draft is the thing, let's strategize a little bit more around that. Let's figure it out. Can they play the same way they did last game and still have success? Do they need to mix it up? Because I felt like outside of Changhong getting solo killed, they played that one to near perfection.
Yeah, I think that they have. You already made a mention of that. Basically, the solo killing was the only real thing that I was really concerned about. Because think in a world where you can test on blue, your jungler doubles down, and you know you're in a 4v4 in the situation that I'm referring to, and the top laners are not going to be taking part. Your own top laner has Ignite in the spellbook rotation, and the enemy top laner has used his TP to TP to lane. In a perfect scenario, SDG take blue buff and run away. Like, even though Nocturne is a level 6 on the second blue buff, it doesn't matter because he has a Braum to deal with. He's going to have to move away because Braum's going to be able to just focus him. Team goes on top of that. That should be a better team fight situation for SDG to work with. And realistically, it's just Vici going back, playing the longer game once again to get farm on their members and an item on top of Ezreal. So you're right to that point. I think SDG still played incredibly well. It was just that they didn't really face competition in game 1.
Vici, if they want to go for something similar, got to slow it down significantly more. Got to keep SDG from just getting those free objectives, getting that free lane.
My question now is, do they want to do that again, though? Right? Like, if you're in WE or JDG, you can say, let's keep playing this slower composition because we're confident we can get to that point. A lot of players, new teams, will be like, why are we playing this style? It's not something we came into the league with. It's not really something I'm comfortable with. I don't want to play the same slow pace. I want to come in with a Xin Zhao. And I think that's something that we'll see with Ike's. I think he wants to go in with the Redemption Olaf that we've been seeing globally, or Xin Zhao Camille if he's ever given that option. He's probably just going to try and hard commit to a positive jungle matchup rather than saying, I can play this out better.
And if they decide to do that, luckily, like we've mentioned, they have the champion pool to set that up. They have the ability to make those flex picks. That is a big strength coming into this meta to have for a team. We've seen a lot of the best picks be things that can go into multiple lanes. You have your Lissandras, your Gragas, Sejuani now even picked top in LEC and here in the LPL. So when you have those deep champion pools, you get to mix around with the styles. And if Vici were feeling as uncomfortable as they looked in game 1, I would expect them to switch it up a little bit.
What I think the swap to be is probably to give Jay his Akali. Akali's been escaping the ban scenario. I wonder if that's going to be the case here. As you can see, Dogate, their coach, actually giving them some words of advice. We'll have to see if the Akali can escape the ban phase. Because if it gets into Jay's pockets, I'm telling you they will first pick it. They'll either first pick the Akali or the Urgot to give it to Chalitza. Those are the two picks I would love to see.
Now, this is the advantage for Vici this time. They get to pick a power pick. They get to pick something they know they really want. Bans coming out from SDG onto the Cassiopeia and the Aurelia, just taking out two of the strongest picks in the current meta. Vici taking away the Lissandra, a lot of lockdown provided by that. It fits Twilla's style well. And the Aatrox, because last game, that didn't go too hot for them, letting that through.
Yeah, so smart one, knowing that could be flexed, and Twila would love to have it in his grasp. That being said, there are a lot of power picks up. The fact that both Galio and Camille potentially are up, alongside Rakan. Okay, there we go. I was worried, man. I was worried you're going to be giving the Camille, Galio, Rakan available now to Vici, so that's going to be off. So I think they would go to either Urgot or Akali. I think I'm going to put my money on Urgot just because really you would at least guarantee that one winning lane, and Jay can play for himself too.
And it went well for Chalitza last game. But it looks like this time,
wow,
they're prioritizing that Akali for Jay.
So I said that they would go for Akali if they wanted to make Jay comfortable. But then I backed away a little bit. I said, okay, they'll go to Urgot because every team will think a little bit more objectively and say, Urgot is just, no matter what happened in game 1, Urgot just makes every composition better. So they'll give that away. I think it's going to go to Jay. You could put Akali to the top side, but we already saw what happens in the Urgot-Akali matchup. And he usually doesn't get that bad, but at best you get a CS deficit. I don't think Vici Gaming want to find themselves in that same position. There we go. Sion locked in just proves that point.
Going to give them a very beefy front line in the top lane as well. Into that Urgot, it doesn't do terribly either, but SinoDragon picking up the Lucian is interesting to me because we know Gala as more of a hyper carry player. So I want to see if he's able to get the aggression on the Puff and Southwind, especially because there's such a skilled bottom lane.
Yeah, skilled bottom lane. And on top of that, I think Lucian's just a broken pick right now as an AD carry in the meta. And picking the Thresh away from Mark is excellent, because if that was a Lucian Thresh lane, while having counter pick in mid lane and a strong matchup in top, Vici Gaming would walk themselves into the same situation that they had in game 1. But it's still not looking good. So like, if I'm looking at Vici Gaming's composition immediately, Sion, they know that they're going into the Urgot pick. That's going to be a bad one. You're going to be behind your turret. You're going to be in a CS deficit. Mid lane, Akali. Sure, SDG hasn't picked just yet, but you're pretty comfortably looking at that and saying, well, they'll have a great counter pick into it, because there are quite a few. You either go towards a team fight counter pick, or you try and hit both. Right now, SDG should have a stronger laning phase because of it, and Vici Gaming are going to have to really pick a strong team fight, or maybe just a strong bottom lane that has shove. So Sivir comes to mind.
They've already taken out the Caitlyn there for SinoDragon, so they hear what you're saying, Raz. They're picking up what you're putting down. They're saying, okay, don't want to give him the shove, don't want to give him poke, don't want to give him a strong bottom lane to work against ours. We need the strength of that Lucian. But Vici have a lot of options. Jungle and mid still have not been picked up, a common strategy for SDG in the draft here. So it's about what Vici wants to take away, and it looks like Lulu, their first port of call.
Yeah, Lulu Lucian. We've seen that in the past, and we know that Twila is going to pick it up if he gets the chance. That would be a great boost to Gala, and I know Gala has been the beneficiary to a lot of SDG's real AD carry-focused composition, so that just gives him a late game. I love that ban. Something Vici Gamer are going to have to recognize is that you can ban away quite a few picks from Twila, but he's going to have something to boost his major carry. Zillion is still up and available. And with how comfortable they are in both side lanes currently, I would expect that to be the pick.
Nocturne ban coming out from Vici. They don't want to give SDG, specifically Xiaopeng, that quick access into the backline, quick access to carries, and the utility that comes from Paranoia is so strong as well. But
if they lock in this one, that would be an Urgot mid and a GP top. All right. I would love to see it. I saw Zoom on the pick earlier on in the LPL. And even though in the laning phase it was tough because it has a rough time versus Akali, he knows it's going to be against Sion, but he picks up what is something more comfortable. I would expect it to be towards Twila, and he gets himself the Urgot top lane.
Urgot top will do well into the Sion, as we mentioned, but this bottom lane is now the focus for Vici. Currently hovering the Kai'Sa, which will not do well in the early stages of the game, but will have the opportunity to scale up into the later stages to be a threat.
And that's going to be the whole bang right now with Vici. They're all about scaling. I really want a jungler that can go for level 2. You're already seeing the Camille being hovered right now, because if all of these lanes are getting shoved in, great gank potential, double teleport. This is something Vici has known in the past and has actually utilized very well. I don't even give a damn that they just swapped to Xin Zhao. It's the same effect, same idea. All in, teleport into a bottom lane that's getting shoved in. SDG has to recognize that and really focus in on just nailing down these lanes and not look for these plays.
Covering the Sejuani, decent gank potential, but maybe going for a Xiaopeng special more in the Nidalee. He does do significantly better on those carry picks. They are more in his wheelhouse. It's just going to be the Lee Sin once again for him.
Once again, going back to comfort. So you're right. Like Lee Sin, I was thinking it was going to lock in Nidalee just as looking at the enemy team saying, look, I smashed you pretty hard in game 1. Game 1 was no competition, so I'm going to go back to like that style pick. And Nidalee is his style pick. But it just seems like his coach looked at him and was like, no, you're not doing none of that. Go back to that disciplined play you had in game 1 and finish the series.
It was just reaching behind, grabbing the mouse and being like, no. Let's do this instead.
10 more seconds until we figure out. Stop. Yeah. We got 5 seconds to figure out where the hell that Sion's going. This is always the best part of the pick ban.
There it is. It's the top. We're good. We're good. So it is going to be into that disadvantageous Urgot matchup. But like you said, Vici, that's not their goal here. They want to scale up into the later stages of the game where the Lucian Urgot might fall off a little bit more while they have ways to keep going. The Kai'Sa, the Akali, lots of damage coming out from those two picks.
I usually love, there are certain aspects of Kai'Sa's early game that's fun. You know, when she gets level 6, she can rejoin, has that snowball potential. Or let's say if like Thresh gets a hook, she can reposition in front of the enemy, right? So you get a composition that you're going to get pushed in the bottom lane. mid lane, top lane, those kind of lanes are getting it shoved in pretty frequently. If mid lane and top lane ever have that window of teleporting behind and a sick, flank teleport on a ward behind bottom lane, then Kai'Sa has so much space to work with her ultimate and can really get those ganks like working in her favor. So you have to watch out for that. Double teleport can do two things. It either makes a game crazy, hectic, you're gonna get like 5-minute bot lane team fights, or the opposite, where two teams are too afraid to make the first move because they know that the teleport is coming. So we're gonna have to see if there's one of those games. Game 1 was pretty fiery, so game 2 I expect to be the same.
Vici versus SinoDragon. Can Vici stop their loss streak and bring it to their first series here as a win in the LPL, or will SinoDragon continue their roll and head up towards the top of the standings? Gonna find out as we get into game 2. Vici versus SinoDragon.
That's always a struggle for newer organizations in the league, is that's when they're starting to grow their fans. And you know what? If SDG can pull out these performances consistently, go to Sion and rock the people, the WE fans, go to the Snake Pit, do the same thing, they'll naturally pick up those fans. And you just got players that you will love. Like, you'll learn to love Changhong and Xiaopeng. They continue to come in and perform. You're forced to. So, they have a long split ahead of them.
It'll be interesting to see how this team evolves over the split as the meta shifts a little bit. Will we still see Xiaopeng on the aggressive junglers? Will we still see Twilla on those control mages? Probably. But it's interesting to watch out for that. But for now, both junglers just starting for the red buff, and Ike's going leashless down there on the bottom side.
Once again, he's going to probably just be looking for Scuttle Crab and all that. He just wants his lanes to have as good of a start as possible. Something to make note of the keystones here. Jay going Fleet Footwork and Resolve Tree because he knows he's in a poor matchup, and so he just wants to be able to sustain this one up until he gets to his Gunblade. We're going to be in a pause, though. Got to wonder what that is for. We're getting the first push. It's Rise saying, "What's happening here? Why am I getting shoved in on? Coach, ref, somebody do something about this.
This is ridiculous, team. Why aren't you roaming in my lane? It's a whole minute in."
Immediately.
I expected at least a little bit of support.
Start flaming people in chat.
I mean, you've got the time. You could at least use team chat a little bit. You're not allowed to talk about the game, but you can toss along some friendly banter with your teammates as they try and resolve this. What are both teams looking for in this earliest stage?
I would say starting off with the Rise pick, there's just so much gank potential in there. I didn't expect to see so much Rise early on in the 2019 spring split. They were just, for the better part, there are a few mid laners that you'd expect to see. Galio and the Lissandra I expected to see play. I know that they're just incredibly strong picks anyways, but I just thought there were so many bans that you needed to go through that they would still find their way out. Galio is still finding his way out, so he's not really getting banned reliably. But seeing Rise, who is such a great laner against Bruiser, ADs, and Mages, it makes a lot of sense. And you still have that gank potential. So, like, that's something where now Akali, even with her Shroud, still has to worry about the follow-up with the jungler. So that's going to be real fire to see now that the Lee Sin 2v2 is an option for SDG.
That was the problem last game for Vici, was that there wasn't that 2v2 potential. The Nocturne versus the Lee Sin, not going to be quite as strong in that 2v2, so you have to play a lot more carefully, a lot more reserved, at least until you get into the later stages. But SDG, not going to have that problem. Going to have easy gank setup, easy follow-through with the Lee Sin kick post 6.
They still have to worry about one thing, and that was the adaptation you were talking about, which was last game, Ike was on Nocturne and was getting bullied by that Lee Sin. This time around, it's the opposite. He's on the Xin Zhao, and he's looking to hunt for the Lee Sin. So, at the very least, Ike's is going to get his experience that he's been looking for. We're going to have to see if that's the case, though. Ike's is being jumped on.
Oh, he's already going in here. Xiaopeng getting a little bit of damage down, but he's not going to win this duel. Safeguards out, binding down onto Mark, and sad little W from Galah.
Let me tell you one thing that I've never seen in my life, and it's these runes. Xin Zhao, Dark Harvest. Why? Did he misclick? Is that my question? Like, there are a few options you can go for. If you're in the sorcery tree, then you can have Phase Rush. If you're in the Domination tree, there's the Halo Blades. There have been a lot of Halo Blades from Ike's. I think that is a 10 times better option than Dark Harvest. That's just cheesy.
It's kind of weird, too, because it relies on getting damage onto someone who's low, which, great, if you're successful, that's good. But if your goal is just early game ganks, Halo Blades, like you said, so much better.
Yes. So there's going to be at least, it's going to work some moments. If he ever gets on top of Xiaopeng, flashes over, you know, at least he's going to be getting stacks. But I truly believe it's an error not to go towards the Halo Blades if he's going to be in domination.
Especially in those 1v1s with Xiaopeng, this is going to make him suffer a little bit now. Not able to get the knock-up as easily. So maybe Ike knows something we don't, or maybe it was a mistake, but for now at least, Xiaopeng keeping the tempo there, getting the second scuttle, making sure that Ike's at least doesn't double scuttle him.
Yeah, so at least he has the pressure because he's a Xin Zhao and can just be out there. So that's all I really want. And in fact, that's all that Jay wants. Last game, he was the worst part of a 2v2. He had the Rise into the Aatrox, but he got MVP'd on because Twilight just picked up Aatrox, had his jungle support, knew that the Nocturne would never come to save Rise. This time around, he's on the Akali, and he at least has the pressure there from Ike's. Speaking of pressure,
this early game is so important for both teams. Vici want to make sure SDG can't get the early lead on them.
Look out for the flash flay. Southwind is looking for it.
There's the flash, there's the flay, gets them both, but they're walking away. Gala gets the flash out. Safety, but 2 flashes burned and the heal.
There we go. I mean, now he was able to burn so much from Gala and Mark. Mark has no mana to his name. This is going to be a great push. Maybe they can get a few, I would say best case scenario, they get 2 turret platings off of it. I think they're only going to get 1. Not even 1. Wait a minute.
Get the pull onto Mark, but it's just going to take a little bit of damage for that. They're pretty low under the tower, so might have to back. While in top lane, Chalitza looking to win this matchup.
Oh my god. What's happening, Changhong? This is not his day. He is getting rocked by Chalitza 2 games in a row. I love the fact that Vici's new top laner has actually just been able to stand out today.
He's finally showing that he does deserve a spot on this team. He's showing his strengths here, but Changhong not having a good day.
That's the issue. Remember, coming into this, I'm a fan of Ike's, Jay, Puff, and Southwind seeing play, but a lot of questions were, well, why isn't Audi playing? Because Audi had like consistently great carry performances on losing teams. So you'd at least expect if there's going to be one player that has remained in the starting 5, it's going to be Audi. But Chalitza comes in, has debatably better cohesion with the squad, and today he's coming out saying that I can actually perform in lane even in losing matchups. It's great to see that from him.
Doing well in the trades, not doing so well in the CS. SDG trying to get some vision down, moving around the map as a unit. They're still showing that cohesion that got them the last game, but they're not having the same early game advantage. So for Vici, already this is looking so good.
Yeah, I mean, if we saw a repeat of the early game and last one, I'd just be very heartbroken for Vici Gaming. But this is stock standard, what you would expect. I think we've been getting way too many blowouts in the recent days for my liking. I want actual competition. And for SDG, that means we get to see a little bit more of Xiaopeng's, level 6, if you can get that kickoff mid lane, because we talked about it, great gank potential, but he's actually dealing with what is a Merc Treads on Jay, which means that you need an empowered Rune Prison really to work with.
Now Tula getting a little bit more trade there in the mid lane. He's been doing well so far to keep Jay on the back foot, keep him low health, even with the fleet footwork, but they don't have the jungle pressure, so Vici kind of allowed to move around the map as they see fit.
Speaking of Rune Prison, Twila actually went towards Aftershock on Rise. Now, I despise Aftershock as a rune. I actually think it is the most disgusting rune in the game currently. I know they've been balancing a few things, but Aftershock, exceptional on Galio, exceptional on... We've been seeing a little bit of Diana. I know Diana is a garbage champion right now, but in solo queue when she gets played, you see a little bit of Aftershock Diana. It's basically AP bruisers in the mid lane, because if you have the 20 damage from the rune stats in your new rune pages, you can go towards Aftershock, and you can still have like 140 resistances, just the 70 armor and magic resist, just outright, just from, if you're a Rise, rune prisoning somebody, and you have the damage to follow up on it. So just for Twila, he's going to have a pretty free laning phase here, as you can see. He's going for him. Boom, and he has Aftershock. I'm sad.
Return damage from Jay doing absolutely nothing. More than a tickle. So this is going to be a problem going into the 2v2s and the ganks as well, because Twilla's just going to have health and damage for days.
Wow, he just found a plant. I'm sad about a lot of things on this map, but hey, you know, if Twilla ever rune prisons him again, he can walk on top of him, because Aftershock also does damage. Just putting that out there.
Hasn't gone for it just yet, but Xiaopeng level 6 looking here into the mid lane, but Ike's is here as well.
This is what I'm talking about.
It's going to be juicy.
So it's going to have to be Jay that all-ins on this one to start it off, so they don't... Wait a minute. They see him. They see him rolling around. Ike's knows. Who's going to start this? No one should be... Oh. What's happening? What's going on? Okay, he's just going for a blue buff. He was looking about something else.
Huh? Okay.
I like this. I like this. I was a little bit worried. Xiaopeng was going to be in a tough spot. If you saw it last game at all, Xiaopeng just really wants blue no matter what to get this experience advantage. And he's going to be able to hold mid anyways because it's a cannon wave. So really, Xiaopeng gets a lot out of this.
Looks like they're trying to trade blue buffs across the map, though. So this should go over to Jay if it's not challenged. But it looks like Xiaopeng and Twilla picking onto it.
Vici Gaming are in a good spot because their dual lane's going to get here first. Otherwise, they wouldn't be able to. Oh, here we go. Get out of here.
Realmort coming in. They're still looking for the chase.
Oh,
Mark gets the binding. But a good ultimate, going to keep Ike safe for now. Q lands, they're going in, there's the damage, there's the first blood onto Gala, but the fight's still going. Xiaopeng taken down, losing the buff to Jay.
Was going so well for Vici Gaming, you just had to dodge the more Q. Legitimately, I thought that was really well done for Vici, and it was just the final moments that didn't do it for Jay.
Red buff for Jay now, though. That's really good for him in this lane because he keeps getting poked out, keeps taking so much damage, but the regen going to help him out pretty decently.
Yeah, he should be able to catch up in terms of experience in CS. I know he's been losing out in the matchup, but the extra kill that he has, the fleet footwork on top of the red buff sustain, I think he shouldn't be able to get pushed out at all in this lane now.
Galan and Mark got a lot of pressure on here. Hopefully we'll be able to get at least one turret plating, but Ike's here to answer. So they're going to back off for now. Double buff still ticking on Gala, so they want to make a play off this, but the lane just isn't going to work out for it right now.
That's the thing right now, is if you ever look to make a play on side lanes, like the teleports are still there for SDG's side, at the very least, right? You see how Southwind got his Nikes on.
Looking for the hook. Flash still available from Twilla. Jay follows in. Lantern going to save him as he doesn't want to go for it, but that is the flash down, and this exposes Xiaopeng, who is taking the Rift Trail. They got to be really careful
What
now.
are you doing?
They got to secure it. He's got the smite. They pick it up. All right. That was close.
Yeah. He was maxing Q as well, so that does quite a bit of damage. You're just trying to last hit it with it. But, yeah, you're right. This is one of those moments if you're a jungler and you're like, why are you leading him towards my sneaky Rift Trail take? I am not appreciative of that. They had a little bit more time to work with, and Ike's would have been in position for the, for the challenge. But thankfully, Xiaopeng gets it for free.
So SDG are still keeping the objective hold they had on the map last game, but it is a much slower pace. This still works out for Vici. You know, their mid lane hasn't really been punished, even picked up a kill, and their bottom lane, that Kai'Sa, is still doing okay. Yes, SDG have CS leads in their lanes, but not significant ones, and I feel like Vici are still in such a good spot.
Like, that was going to be the case because, once again, the draft for Vici Gaming is pretty focused on late. Oh, here we go, though.
Southwind going golden, saving himself from Xiaopeng. And he'll stay alive from this.
Oh, where are you coming?
Choo-choo, here he comes. Twilla, you're in trouble now. He's not going to be able to make it out of this one. Cullen goes in, but Mark stuck on the wrong side of the blue buff. Gonna need to get out with the blast plan. Flashes over, and Jake can't follow.
But damn, I mean, Chaliza coming straight from the top lane. They needed him for how much SDG were just consistently looking to push up. I mean, it was so hard. Southwind almost lost his life for it. Had to use a stopwatch because of the Lee Sin look for an assassination. But nice. There's a lot of bite here for Vici Gaming in Game 2.
Chaliza roaming down. This is the cohesion we didn't see. A lot of bite, like you said, a lot of fight, and keeping it even in gold, if a little bit behind. Now Xiaopeng stuck, spending a little bit of time mid lane, not able to look for the best place for the Herald right now either.
That was my biggest thing, the fact, oh my goodness.
The flash play, once again, Southwind with the engages, proving his MVP status. Mark goes down, Gala flashes away, and he'll be safe, but his support no longer.
There was no surprise in that one. I mean, he just walked up to him. Sure, he assured the double flay with the flash, but you knew that option was available. It was just Mark and Gala really greeting for turret play.
They are punished for their greed. The Herald drop mid, getting a little bit of gold there onto Twilla, but this time not going to be able to have pressure in this game. It's looking a lot like last game, but just worse for SDG. It's the same motions. It's the same, okay, we got an objective, let's try and use it, but now they don't have the pressure. Now Vici are responding properly.
I think Xiaopeng is still on the ball, using it in mid lane just because he wanted to get as much free gold off the plating. They got 5 free turret gold, and it's all really put into Twila's pocket. So Twila is actually still set up to succeed. As you can see, he's actually just rushing to maybe pay it forward to Chang Hong.
Twila looking towards the top side. They have a lot of pressure with Chang Hong, but Chalitza is so much wave clear on the Scion already. And it looks like SDG are clearing the vision towards the Dragon, but they don't have the pressure on this side of the map. The bot lane's not there yet, neither is their jungler.
Ocean Dragon is a pretty dicey one to pick up. It doesn't deal more damage than Cloud or Infernal really, but it slows you, which means that if the jungler is going to be on top of it, and if there's a counter engage or something, if people are looking to contest you on that Dragon, it is much easier to fight. Southwind, goodbye.
He got taken out there, staying a little bit too long. I think he was looking for the engage there with Ike's on the backup, but they weren't able to find it, and Mark and Gala able to capitalize and now save their lane, save a little bit of pressure.
Once again, mispositioning. Remember, he used his flash on the earlier engage. So if you're just doing that, you got to play a little bit more passively, but here we go. I mean, it's post 14 minutes, so you're not going to be getting any turret gold other than just being able to kill it. But for SDG, this is needed map pressure.
Twilla using the Realm Warp to get away from Jay, but here comes the follow, getting the kick down, and Twilla still alive and looking pretty healthy here, as a matter of fact. He forces the flash from Jay. Hello?
There's a lot of people coming. He needed to get out of there.
That's the funniest engage I've ever seen. He's like, I got you, Court. Oh, God, get me out.
Look, just for the animation, I would have done the same thing. So I can respect that. Ultimately, he did know that the people who had taken bottom lane tower from SDG were rotating up and would have been there first. So you need to get out of there. And I just believe that you had to slow play that one with how tanky Twilla was immediately off that fight. So he was able to just tank. Remember, he has Aftershock, so you don't actually know how much damage you're going to be dishing out to him. A lot of people are just ingrained in their minds, Assassin versus Ryze. Yeah, sure, Ryze can nail you down with his snare, but should still be squishy with the tier build that he has. But that's a tier build with an asterisk. That's a tier build with I still have about 140 resistances to back me up when I need it. So just take a look at Lee Sin coming through. He's like, yeah, you know what? Lee Sin Morgana is on the way. I got to get out of here.
Speaking of that tier build, tier build on Ryze. He's got it finished. He's got the item finished, not fully stacked, but once he gets that, he's going to be even tankier, and he's still going to put out massive amounts of damage. So it's looking pretty good here for Twilla. Despite the early death, he's still able to get the 1v1s off.
And he has the side lane experience. You can already see that that's where they've put him. You know, they've got their 1-3-1 in motion. They can take as much time as they need. They don't need to take this mid lane tower immediately. They're just going to be happy that Ryze has pressure on Akali in the side lane, and on top of that, able to just take as much experience. 156 CS, 16 minutes into the game is pretty damn good. So I like where Twilla is actually heading.
Xiaopeng once again keeping objective control on the map, picking up the first dragon at 16 minutes. A little bit slower this time, but they still have the control. And I want to point out, Chalitza doing really well into this matchup. He was able to get the roam off and still only behind 20 CS. The Southwind, once again, might get picked off by that culling. Not quite, but chunked incredibly low.
It's gonna start to stack up. Remember, Southwind now has to make a decision. If he bases right now, that should be a tower take for SDG. Take a look at the KDA that Gala has had. He's been doing really well for himself in the series that he's had. Really, it's just been the protection compositions that SDG's had in the Snake and WE set that's really put Gala ahead.
And keeping his KDA alive, dodging out the engage there. Puff looking aggressive onto Xiaopeng, and he doesn't get out. Puff gonna pick that one up, and now SDG without a jungler need to defend this mid lane.
That's the risk. I mean, Southwind recognized if he base did lose that tower, he stayed on the map and looked for the pick. The plan is still the same for SDG. They still want this tower, but with how often Vici Gaming have been looking to bite back, it's not coming easy.
They will finally pick it up, however, so the only outer turret remaining is in that top lane. They have a lot of pressure around this bottom side of the map, so they might want to start looking to move it towards the other side, get some deeper vision into the jungle, and keep pushing what little lead they do have.
And remember, you have about 2 minutes until Baron comes up, and you have a pretty tankier composition here with Ryze, Lee Sin, and the Urgot. At this point, you should be pretty comfortable playing around Baron. With the 1-3-1 that you have, a lot of it's just going to be Gala and Mark pushing up mid, getting mid priority, and then heading out top. Then they can move towards the inner tower that Sion's been protecting for quite some time. And outer turret is now... Oh, they're actually denying about as much as you can. There we go, before he bases.
The problem I foresee for SDG, though, this time is last time they wanted those really quick fights, right? Just in, out, get the kills, gone. Now that they're in these fights, they finally have to actually focus someone significantly, like Puff. You need to keep him down. Jay, you need to stop him from getting the flanks, whereas last time, if you get the engage at all and you get the team fight, you have so much AoE and you have so much damage and you're so ahead that you don't have to care that much about one specific person. But now, you have a Kai'Sa, you have an Akali. It's so much danger, especially now that Kai'Sa has finished her first 2 items.
I think at least with how well Gala's been playing, nailing down either Southwind or Puff, whoever walks up to the wave to farm up or, you know, try and create some pressure. He's been nailing them down low enough so the next objective that's in play, there's no way for Vici to actually put down some vision to contest. So I think the setup has been firmly in favor of SDG. So with the composition being a little bit more difficult to play around, it's fine for them because I actually have faith for them to enact their comp.
Vici keeping pressure here into the mid lane. They want to get this tower of their own. Still don't have any outer turrets yet. They're looking towards the top for their first one.
This is people on SDG just coming back on the map. Base timing that wasn't really on the ball here. You can see Urgot just clearing out Krugs because you know if he's trying to defend that tower, he's getting dived. So it's smart from SDG to not really be, or at least specifically Chang Hong to not be there to defend it. But I think SDG need to be doing something here. Just take a look at what's happening mid and bot lane.
Getting some damage onto Chalitza. Twila is actually looking for... Oh my god, that positioning! Twila, you're insane!
Where are you aiming that? That Q, not good enough. But yeah, Twila challenging him, finding himself on the outer skirts of his own ultimate, just to be able to take down the Sion with the greatest of ease.
It was so clean, and now they keep the pressure in the 1-3-1. Sure, they lost top, but now someone has to respond to Twila. Someone has to stop the rise. And as soon as they send someone down, SDG can take pressure somewhere else.
He's completed up his Seraph's Embrace right now, so if he's in a 2v1 situation, he has that extra bit of shield to defend himself. So at the moment, 1-3-1's working out so well with how Twila is able to play. MVP in game 1, and in game 2 he's already making his mark. Take a look at this. So he gets queued immediately, but that's just, he knows where Chalitza is. I actually think this is really poor from Chalitza. He puts himself out way too far away from the tower. Of course Twila is going to be able to challenge you. So there we go. Outskirts of the queue. Sion cannot defend himself. So much damage in tow for this Rise.
Saving the W until he was under tower and was really getting threatened by the damage. Smart for him, keeping him tanky. And that's going to be a big part of keeping the pressure going, is those good plays in the 1v1s, because he can't just straight up dominate yet. He's getting there, but he still needs to be careful. And now Vici might be looking at Baron.
Yeah, Vici, I don't think it would be easy. This is more of a desperation Baron run. They know that Dragon is being taken, but Xiaopeng immediately off of it, so Vici Gamer are going to have to look for a fight.
They're going for the bait. Hook lands. This is terrible for Gala. He flashes out. He's still alive for now, but they pick him off. Jay got the damage down, and now 2 members down for SDG. They're looking for the fight still. They have so much damage. The AoE from Twila is ridiculous, but they still haven't found a kill. Twila kiting away as best he can. He gets caught on the hook, though, and goes down. 3 for none. 4 for none, rather, in favor of Vici, and now they can look at that Baron.
So crucial, Southwind's hooks. 2 hooks in a row is able to nail down both Gala and Twila. Both of the carries taken down because of his hooks. Now the only thing you got to worry about is Xiaopeng, and Jay's chasing him down.
Free Baron essentially here now from Vici. 3K left. No one's going to be able to contest that one. And Vici, just like that, back in the game.
That's the headstrong shot calling I was referring to with Southwind. We hyped him up. There's reason for it. When it comes down to the fact that you're getting pushed around throughout the map, you knew that it was going to be them on top of Dragon, VG Gaming wait, take down Gala immediately, play it slow enough so they recognize we can chip down Chang Hong, refocus on Twyla. Take a look at Southwind. He has his hookup, follows up with the Scion Q, and nails him down. Longer this fight went, if that Q missed, then I had faith that Rise would be able to play it long enough, get his splash damage across, and push Vici away. In fact, he either goes for a 1v3 or 4 outplay, or at least pushes them so they don't take the Baron in the end. But best case scenario happens for Vici Gaming, and now they have Baron.
SDG wanted control of the early game, wanted to keep the pace up against Vici, but now it's been forced away from them. Control in Vici's hands. They're picking up their first Dragon of the game and pushing out all 3 lanes.
Now I was worried just because we got to a stage where Twyla had his Banshee's Veil and Seraph, so he's tanky enough to really deal with the frontliners, and he does a lot of damage. So there's at that point, team fighting wise, SDG would have won if it was a front to back, no position advantage there for Vici Gaming. That wasn't the case. So now, if I'm Puff, you get to your 3rd item. You can go towards your renowned Hurricane. Excellent. You have time now with the Baron buff that's been given to you. And Akali could be on side lane, so now there are multiple pressure points. You can take this turret easily. Oh, you might actually get the kill onto it.
Yeah, he's incredibly low. There's the shield from his passive. There's Aftershock, and Jay not quite going to get it just yet. Shield still available from Archangels there. Xiaofeng wants the kill.
Ooh.
Oh! Good shuriken flip there from Jay, keeping himself safe. The redemption in mid, keeping Vici topped up.
Means that they can keep this push as long as possible. Chalitza is going to be able to just walk up here. They don't have... Oh, there we go. Ike's is on his way now, so they can take this one. It's going to be on SDG to look for any point to engage on.
SDG's wave clear at this point is slightly abysmal, especially without Twyla, so they need that engage. They need to push them off. Otherwise, it's just going to be a free tower for
They're
Vici,
going for it.
There's the engage. Chang Hong coming in with the Righteous Glory. Gets the ultimate onto Southwind, but no more damage to follow. Ike's gets the lantern out, and they will make it out alive.
So much space creation from Ike's, but here we go. Jay's in trouble.
Twyla, there he goes. Not able to get the Rune Prison. Still looking for it, but he's just going to go for Grump instead, letting Jay get away.
You know what? Jay had a lot of, mobility with his ultimate, and on top of that, used his Q. He has Gunblade too, so a lot of sustain, just being able to pick himself back up with that Grump Q. So even if the fight was there, he would have lasted fairly long. So good on Jay to be able to get out of there, but just a dicey situation for Vici Gaming as a whole.
And this isn't great for SDG, but it is a step in the right direction because they've slowed down the Baron push. Everyone had to back, everyone had to reset after that. So now they've at least got the tempo a little bit back in their favor, but Vici, 2K gold lead still.
And this is a situation that SDG has not really been pushed in. The LDL, they've had early game leads, they've been able to take them out easily. They find themselves with like a 5K gold lead, 30 minutes into the game, they should be able to take it out with a team fight. But now in the LPL, more often than not getting challenged in the early game, so they have to actually play while behind or try and find ways to just elongate a game. It's not something where they're not a position where they're comfortable in. So really getting that experience when they went up against their first series. And then now, this game 2 up against Vici Gaming, really getting pushed.
And the reason this strategy of old WE worked, the wait till 35, 40 minutes, if you run into teams who haven't had experience at that stage of the game being behind or even, you can just bring them down to wherever your specialty is and beat them. And Vici, I feel like, have more experience with this, especially now. Chang Hong coming in, looking for an engage. Finds Chalitza, but not able to get the flip. Good ultimate from him to stop it. And now SDG's engage has been stopped in its tracks.
And just remember, these engage, if it ever comes up, if Chang Hong gets the Q on, remember Ike's and Jay are nowhere to be seen. And that's why they keep looking for it.
A lot of damage there onto Puff. Not enough to kill him. Culling comes out, but tanked away by Chalitza. But he might be threatened now. Sterix Gauge popped, but hook onto Gala. He needs to get out of there. The dive coming in from Ike's. He flashes away. He's still alive, but the rest of his team is not as lucky. Xiaopeng taken out, and Chang Hong getting chased down as Twyla tries to get out from the Realm Warp. SDG is getting chased down on all fronts, and I don't know if they're going to make it out alive. Twyla down. Gala might be able to get the kill. He gets it onto Jay, and he should live here, but just barely.
Yeah, they're pinging down the bottom lane minions. Gotta wonder if Gala can remain alive, but Ike says, alright, I have no members following me. They're trying to go for the actual smarter play and taking down mid lane tower. So this is insane. Vici Gaming are still able to push them out. This looks like it's Vici favored. The items are being finished. Runon's Hurricane is there for Puff, and they can outright take down Gala. Remember, a lot of these times you're hoping that Morgana Black Shield comes on top of him so he can last longer in fights. But he's getting nailed on just not only the Q from Thresh, but the follow-up as well before the Black Shield even comes on. So you're in a really tight position if you're Gala and you're not getting that support.
And that's one of the strengths of Vici's composition in these team fights as well. They have so many ways to get in and get onto Gala. Because we saw it in that fight, right? Gala looked like he was safe. And then suddenly in comes the dive from Jay. He thinks he's safe again, but then Ike's comes in. They have so much mobility in fights to keep the threat onto him that he really needs all his mechanics just to live, and then he's not putting out damage. Then he's not able to contribute in these fights. So Vici playing their composition well, playing to their strengths, and might get their first win here.
Yeah, this is where it gets easy for this team. Going straight towards Baron because they have the Kai'Sa that has 3 items. Already have the Earth Dragon to their name as well. It's going to be on SDG to be able to act quickly. 4k HP, Lee Sin needs an inside on this one. He has a blast cone he can use, but the fight's already started.
Poke on a Changhong, they disengage it. Culling from Gala will poke them off. So Baron going to be stopped here from Vici, but they take it so quickly.
And they shouldn't base. Right now, the easiest way to get HP back on Jay is to go to a neutral camp. They're going for blue buff, not to just take blue buff and give it to Jay, but to give him HP back on Q. So they should be able to come right round back to Baron buff after pushing mid lane.
Both buffs picked up there by Vici. Red onto Puff, blue onto Jay, as you said. And now SDG stuck between a rock and a hard place. If they can get a good engage onto Vici, the chances are still alive, but if they keep floundering like this, Vici will cleanly sweep them.
Ooh, close, close, close. Yeah, Gala's been doing a great job at just pushing them away from neutral objectives and mid lane towers. His ultimate's been on point. But I would say a priority target using your ultimate on is either, let's say, Puff or Southwind. When he uses it on Jay like he did in the last fight, great. He gives them position around Baron, but you know he can heal it up as I mentioned earlier. So buys him some time, but now you know that Gala is going to be looking for Southwind a little bit more intently.
Twilla just going to clear out the Krugs and then onto top lane, keep the waves under control for them. They need every advantage they can get so that the Baron is a little bit harder to take for Vici, because Vici has a ton of damage for it, and they are basically starting to win the fights, which is a really dangerous spot for SDG.
I would say something that Vici Gaming should feel a little more comfortable in these team fights. Puff finished his next item, which is the Infinity Edge. A lot of people go towards the Zhonya's Hourglass, knowing that these team fights might be their last, but at least he has a stopwatch. The next team fight's going to be super insightful for how Puff as a player operates, because he wants to go in. This for him is the one team fight for him to work on.
Hook on to Xiaopeng. Southwind again delivers. He gets out, but the re-engage coming in from Chalitza. SDG still alive. A lot of cooldowns blown. Another brilliant hook onto Changhong, but SDG are still staying up. Realm Warp is canceled out. Mark gets low. Twilla putting out as much damage as he can, but he can't pick up any kills. And SDG are just getting wiped by Vici. This should be the game win for them.
The easiest fight you could ever hope for if Southwind keeps picking them off. And remember, Jay and Puff are going to chase you relentlessly. Excellent conditioning, pulling them towards Baron, and then Southwind picking up the hooks. I think he gets MVP on this one.
Yeah, he really has set up every play for his team here. Granted, in lane, he wasn't as strong, but here is where he thrives in the later stages of the game when you can make those insightful picks. Southwind going 100% accuracy for that one.
Look, 14 kills he's been a part of out of a 15-kill game for Vici Gaming. That was insane to see this team play around him. It's going to be a game 2 for them, so they're now going into game 3.
And Southwind, I mean, we can't praise this guy enough. We talked about him pre-game, talked about him on top of show, talked about him through the game, but there's good reason for it. He already, before this game, had a 79.2% kill participation. That's just going to go up from here. He's keeping in these fights, he's making the picks for his team, and he's making them come together.
Because SDG, they had early game. I mean, they were even pushing on towards the mid lane tower pretty confidently. Issue was, Flash play kept happening, right? You thought they learned their mistake towards the bottom lane, but then it happened again when they were in mid lane. And then when you got past that point, just take a look at that dip 20 minutes into the game. That was really just Thresh hooks actually paying off on a larger degree, because as the game goes on towards 20 minutes, that's the Baron mark, then suddenly there's a larger payoff. Early on in the laning phase, that's 2 kills, push out, go back to base and get an item. 20 minutes, that's okay, you get the kill, now you move towards Baron buff, create vision. Hey, wait a minute, long death timers, take them Baron buff and back away. That was really the game-defining moments for here for Vici Gaming.
Yeah, and SinoDragon were trying to use the same strategy from last game, but again, Ike's, now that he had a pick that could contest in the 2v2, a pick that could contest in the ganks and do something early, he just didn't have the same problems as last game. Suddenly, 2v2, no longer the place Xiaopeng can initiate, no longer the place he can abuse. And then Xiaopeng is like, okay, I'll pick up a dragon, I guess, but he didn't have that same dominating lead in the jungle. And Ike's abused that to keep his team in the game long enough for them to scale up. And as soon as Puff got those 3 items, that was game.
Yeah, so that one's really crucial because in game 1, as you already mentioned, like the fact that the Nocturne pick was so far behind, it was a snowballing factor in the sense that then Southwind is not even moving. You know, Southwind wants to be able to get out of lane. He's a great laner, that's a big plus, but he is not able to really impact mid lane as much. Game 2, completely different. Really feels like he's out of his shell because vision can be contested now on bottom side river. Dragon is on the map for much longer because SinoDragon's not comfortable enough taking it. They can get collapsed on. So finally, Vici Gaming get out of laning phase and they can challenge you in team fights. This is what we wanted out of the series. It started a little bit late, but they can still finish off in game 3.
They can, but the question is if they will. Because game 1, I mean, I don't think just having hooks is going to resolve all the problems from game 1. It kind of did, but SDG felt like they were caught on the back foot and were like, oh, what's this? Oh, we don't have a lead. Guys, this is a problem. And I don't feel like I genuinely still have hope for SDG, is what I'm trying to say. Because Twyla was really good on that rise. He showed a lot of potential, great damage in the team fights, great damage in the 1v1s. He was still pushing his advantage. They just, as a whole, didn't coordinate as well and didn't push as hard.
I think it was mostly in discipline. Once again, there were a lot of moments where they were greeting out for the turret platings and bot side, got 2 deaths on their name. And then mid lane, it was all pressure on SDG. So I agree with you. Really just comes now that more space and times there for Vici. You have 7 more minutes until you discuss what your strategy is going game 3, and they can try and play better. They have a second chance at life.
The series, this 3rd game, the final game of the series, will be decided on who's tighter, who's cleaner, who's got the best coordination. We're going to find out who that is just after this.